politics. Get ready to rumble! You wanna talk smack? You in the right place. So take a step back before I get all up in your
remember, because I don't remember. I remember every bit of this.
You're the dudes holding on the phone line. Your voice will be heard, sir.
Next caller, please.
Jerry's gonna get him.
Fantasy sports and politics. Fantasy sports and politics. Fantasy sports and politics. Fantasy sports and politics.
Listeners are asking questions about this week's games, not Jerry's personal beef. So what's your thought?
Speaking of which, welcome to Fantasy Sports and Politics. It's me, Mr. FSP, doing what I do because I do it for you all day, every day, along with a guy by the name of JT, also known as 4NR, but he likes to say the whole thing for no reason. But he doesn't say the whole thing because it's For No Reason Fantasy Football. That's the actual full name because he's blocking it, I guess, For No Reason Fantasy Football. That's my co-host. Used to be the Master Plan, used to be Jerry Taylor. Now he's all these different things. He's like a chameleon. But today is a very, very great show. Not so much in the fact that there's a lot of content to talk about in the world of football, but I figured we do a little wheelhouse, just a little wheelhouse discussion on fantasy and rookies. I had the great opportunity to take over a team, and I'm going to share that team with you. It's, how should I say, I've never done a dynasty league. And this is the first time I've done a dynasty league, and it's with a group that is the first Vegas group I've gone out and tried to join and take part in. First one I took Jerry on. And what we do, or what they do, is they host various tournaments. And right now it looks like their page is locked up or whatever. But I'll wait for it to come back. And I want to share with you a team. It's called an orphan, meaning someone had the team before, made some moves, played the season, and left the dynasty. So it's new for me, very, very new for me. Meaning it's only 7 rounds and you draft 7 rookies. I want to share with you if it comes up, and it doesn't look like it's going to come up, which is going to make me happy because I wanted to share it with you that way as opposed to reading it off to you. I did have it up, but it's no longer up. But I'll share it with you in a minute. But we're going to talk about that. But the main focus of the show is ranking the fantasy rookies from 1 to 10. Now, fantasy football isn't just offense. Some people are, they're stuck on that concept that it has to be offensive players. Some people don't like kickers, but they're considered offensive players so they get you points. I like IDPs, individual defensive players, because you know why? They also get you points. Sometimes they get you more points than your average tight end. And on the rare occasion, your number one receiver running back. There are linebackers and safeties who literally, you're like 15, 20 tackles a game. And for a point per tackle, that is huge. That is huge. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to do the our 1 through 10. Jerry's going to jump in and give his 1 through 10. I'm going to have my 1 through 10. And it can be any offensive player as well as IDP. I do have a few IDPs in mind. With that being said,
I do not.
Also want to talk about neighborhood street football. There are a few things that are going to change, and a few things I'm going to put up to vote for change. Some, I mean, it should be, common sense as we move forward. You don't want to keep the same old rules, things of that nature, because it becomes stale. But I want to give neighborhood street football an opportunity to voice their opinion. Not saying I'm going to change everything that they want. I will put some things up to a vote, but some things are non-negotiable. Plain and simple. We'll talk about those. If others want to join, they can. I've left a link for them. If you are watching and you want to take part in the conversation as far as ranking the top 10 rookies for fantasy, by all means, drop us a note. Be prepared because we're going to talk about it and we're going to bring you involved. I'm going to get you involved. If you want to come on air and put your face in a place, simply send me a message with email address and we'll do it. So with that being said, one of the big news items that I have before I bring Jerry in the conversation is I've been in contact with a very big fantasy organization. And there's a possibility of making major moves. 14 years of struggle maybe come to fruition. I do not know what's going on. It sounds like you're going through a desk or something, but okay. But Jerry, is everything okay over there?
Everything's fine. Keep going.
Okay, I'll mute you then because it sounds like you're shuffling cards. But anyway, there's a few opportunities out there, and I want you all to be a part of it. Once I get more information, I will share, but I love the direction that this show is going. So, with that being the case, Jerry, for no reason, Fantasy Football Taylor, are you ready to bring us your top 10 rookies?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Okay, so we're going to start with number one. And I think this is a consensus number one, everybody. I really do. If I'm wrong, I'd love to debate with you and find out your thoughts. But for me, my number one fantasy rookie to be drafted went to the perfect ideal place. It might be a timeshare, but I like Bijan Robinson, number one overall fantasy player. Some people compare him to Edgerrin James. I can see that. I really can. The total package, but I think he'll be better than Edgerrin James once he gets the full starting job. What you got, JT?
Well, I agree with that. I like B.J. Robinson. Let me put it this way.
Bijan.
What?
Bijan, you said BJ.
Bijan Robinson. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I said Bijan, but okay. No problem. Whatever.
No, you did.
I like him. Most people have him top one and rookies. Okay, I understand that. And he's going to a team that 55% of the time they run the football. And now they get Bijan Robinson in the backfield along with Tyler Algier, who ran for 1,000 yards last season. And everybody declaring Bijan Robinson, not everyone, but there's a few sites that are out there declaring Bijan Robinson as the number one, regardless if he's a rookie or not. I have to take a few steps back from that. and think he's going to be a very good back. And my last mock draft, I had him in the first round. Mr. FSP didn't agree, but that's fine because some people have him in the first round, some people don't. But I think he's going to be a all-around back that I like. I've talked about before, a dual threat, triple threat, in my opinion. Be able to block, that's part of it. Be able to run the football, that's another part, and be able to catch passes out of the backfield, that's the third part.
Mm-hmm.
So I give him a triple threat as a running back, and supposedly he's a I wouldn't say he's CMC, but close to a possible CMC. I'm talking about Chris McCaffrey, who a lot of people liked, who I definitely liked last year, and we'll see what happens because I do believe that he's going to share the backfield. How much? Who knows? I know his head coach loves stud running backs because he had Derrick Henry when he was the offensive coordinator for Tennessee. Now he's the head coach at Atlanta. Is he going to use Bijan like he used Derrick? Or is he going to know that he's got a 1,000-yard back that he had last year as a rookie and use those in tandem in committee type of thing? But B.J. Robinson would be in the rookie rankings my number one back.
You did it again. He said BJ, but it's okay. All right, who you got at number 2?
I have Jahmyr Gibbs at number 2. I think he's on par. In my opinion, he is is 1A, is 1 and 1A. Let me put it that way. Meaning that Jahmyr Gibbs, there's a reason why Detroit pulled him in the first round with their first pick in the first round. There's a reason. You saw the explanation of one of the coaches or the scout, whatever he was, when they acquired Jahmyr Gibbs.
The general manager?
He was pounding the table. He was super excited that he was able to get Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah, that was the general manager.
Okay, general manager. Okay. I didn't exactly know who it was, but okay, it was the general manager. Okay. Because that's why DeAndre Swift was not going to be a non-factor, and they pushed him off to the Eagles. Because this could be the second coming of Alvin Kamara. And a few seasons ago, I had Alvin Kamara the number 1 running back in my draft. And he didn't disappoint. Let me put it that way. So Jahmyr Gibbs is supposedly a Alvin Kamara 2.0.
Hopefully not in everything, but
on the field in fantasy, he should be the Alvin Kamara 2.0. I'm not worried about what's going on off the field. I'm talking about what's on the field.
I agree with you. As I have him at number 2 as well. The two things about the 2 top tier rookies, in my opinion, are they're both 3 down backs. The difference between the two is I believe Bijan can take the pounding more so in between tackles than Gibbs. Now, I was surprised when the Detroit Lions jumped up and got him because I thought he would have fell to them at number 12. But I understand why. Because Atlanta would have, I'm not gonna say Atlanta would have, if Atlanta had not gotten Bijan, then they would have probably stayed pat because Philly would have probably gotten Bijan and Gibbs would have fell right to him. But they're probably afraid that knowing Dallas and somebody else was trying to get a running back, that they needed to move up. New England was in the conversation. So I get that. They acquired some picks in the process of doing so, and they got a dynamic back who instantly comes in and is going to be a part of that committee with David Montgomery. He's going to be like Khalil Herbert was, come in making big plays when he touches the ball. Also, think about this. Yes, they went and got a tight end, and we're going to talk about, well, I'm going to talk about that tight end a little bit. But they also lost their, I'm going to call him the number 2 wide receiver, because he was a rookie last year, only played half a year, or not even half a year, I think like 6 games. And now he's suspended for the first 6 games of the season. And Williamson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, is that clear number 1 wide receiver. They, meaning the Detroit Lions, got rid of the other 2 receivers who were betting. They cut them. So somebody else has got to catch that ball. And he has good hands. So if you're in a fantasy draft and you're thinking, okay, well, Bijan's not going to be the number 1. Well, Jerry has him ranked as a top 10 fantasy player. So that says to me he has him as a running back number 1. But I don't agree with that, but that's just his opinion, in my opinion. When you have those 2 backs, they could be your number 2. They could be your number 2. In actuality, RB1, RB2 is possible for both. Possible. If something happens to David Montgomery, guess who's RB number 1? Gibbs. If something happens to Algier, guess who's number 1? If not going into the training camp and taking over the spot, number 1, Bijan Robinson. My number 3 player links to the thought process that fantasy football and the NFL is shifting from the running back to the wide receiver. Now, this kid had an awesome junior year. Senior year, Senior year had some issues with his legs, but I think he's ready. I think he's going to be an impactful player. Definitely, in my opinion, a wide receiver number 2. Could be a number 1, but definitely a number 2. I'm talking about Jackson Smith-Njigba. I like him. He's a tough guy with speed to burn, and he's got great hands and balance. Jerry will tell you it depends on where a player is at, whether they're going to be impactful or not. I agree with that, but I think this kid is one of those guys, no matter where he's at. If you give him the ball, he'll produce, much like Garrett Wilson last year. Garrett Wilson became the offensive rookie player of the year with 4 different quarterbacks. 4. That's showing you that the kid has ability regardless of who's throwing him the ball. This guy throwing the ball. I think Jackson Smith-Njigba is in that same boat. Your thoughts, JT?
I like him, but I don't like him number 3.
Okay. Who you got number 3?
Who I have at number 3 is one of the offenses I told fantasy football players to get a piece of last season, and that was the Minnesota Vikings. And the number 3 player, he's also a wide receiver, and he's taken the place of a wide receiver that went to Carolina, talking about the older player who couldn't stay healthy, and Adam Thielen. And Adam Thielen had 70 catches for 716 yards and 6 touchdowns. And you think Jordan Addison, who adds to that wide receiver group in Minnesota, can't at least, if not get more than that? I think he can. And I think he'll be a key overall target behind Justin Jefferson, and T.J. Hawkinson. And jump ahead of K.J. Osborne, the other wide receiver. I think he's got that ability to do that. So I have Jordan Addison as my number 3.
I got him on my list, but not right there. And you made a point that kind of counters what you just said, though. You made your point, but then you countered it. Behind the tight end and the number one receiver. Get it behind Justin Jefferson, but to be behind the tight end, just like Adam Thielen was, to me, that's a hindrance on his value as being a true number two. Only because TJ Hockenson is going to get more balls than him. Adam Thielen got a lot of balls considering he was in a similar situation. If you remember the Philly game last year where Irv Smith had more targets than Adam Thielen. Of course, Justin Jefferson got more targets too, but that system, and I guess the matchups or whatever, they catered toward Jefferson, the tight end, which is going to be Hockenson, and then the receiver. And Kelly Osborne, I agree. He's going to have a fight on his hands with Addison. But, I mean, I wouldn't put him there that high, but I do have him on my list. But I can agree and disagree with your commentary. But who do you got at number 4?
Number four, I have my boy, quarterback, Anthony Richardson from the Colts.
Go ahead.
The Colts drafted him at number 4 for a reason. I think they're going to get him up to speed in training camp and be able to unleash him with that offense that is very familiar with the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts, being that he was part of the coaching that improved Jalen Hurts. Anthony Richardson, in my opinion, has got more upside than Jalen Hurts. He's got a bigger arm. He's got better running ability than Jalen Hurts. And that dual threat running back, I think, is going to improve his fantasy value.
Dual threat running back? He's not a running back, though. You just said dual threat running back.
Dual threat running ability. Okay.
Oh, okay. Running ability. Okay. About to say, you sure you got the right person? Okay. You have him in number 4. Where do I have him? I got him a little lower. The reason why I say at number 4 I have Quentin Johnson is because Quentin Johnson, being a receiver, and I told you the shift from running back to receiver in the NFL, he's going to have a bigger impact immediately than Richardson. Quentin Johnson is a comparable player to T. Higgins. Speed, size, hands. It all depends on how he gets the ball. He's a clear number 2. But I believe he has the ability to get into the system and be effective right away. Right away. I think if you're looking at a rookie to draft, that's what this whole list is about. A rookie to draft. I think the upside with Johnson is, for a fact, not for a fact, but that the kid is in a system that's going to end up being catered toward him as he gets even better. Higgins got better. It just so happens they got Jamar Chase over there. You got 2 number 1s in Cincinnati. Yeah, I truly believe that. You got 2 number 1s. And Johnson can be that same type of player. Comparing them to, you got Richardson at number 4. I do believe they're going to have packages for Richardson. I'll talk about that when I bring him up on my list. But I don't think his immediate big impact is going to happen probably not until late season, unless something, awful is happening to Minshew. But I'll bring that up when I get to Johnson. So my number 5.
Wait a minute. Can I say something? I mean, you said something about what I said about Richardson.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I counter? Okay.
Yeah.
Just let me ask you this question before I go on. In whose offense would you rather have, and who's the better offense, the Minnesota Vikings or the Chargers?
So I'll answer it this way. For the receiver to go with Herbert, the Chargers. For the quarterback to share and not be the starting quarterback off the break and be put in for packages, it's a no-brainer. I'm going with the Chargers because I already know that, one, Keenan Allen may or may not be there. And if he is there, that's double coverage on him. I got single coverage.
Okay.
And I got wait a minute. And I got Mike Williams there too, who I know is in and out of the offense because he's injury prone. So Richardson is a player.
I'm not talking about Richardson.
You said Indianapolis offense versus the.
No, I didn't. I said Minnesota Vikings.
Oh, Minnesota. Oh, I'm sorry.
Versus the Chargers.
I apologize. I would rather have right now. Again, I take the Chargers because of the situation in the offense over Minnesota, because right now I already know at Minnesota, I got 2 dudes sitting ahead of me getting plays called for them, plus Dalvin Cook. At least with the Chargers, I know there may be a cap casualty in Keenan Allen.
Well, you know that we're going by right now. We're going by right now.
Okay, calm yourself. Again, I know I have the opportunity to get immediate impact as a number 2 receiver, if not number 1. I know that from the break because of where I was drafted and the things I can do on a team that is going to throw the ball a lot. We know that, what's my man name? Kellen Moore. He don't give a damn about the run. He don't care about the run. He's going to throw the ball.
Who?
And
oh my God.
In Minnesota, we know Kirk Cousins is going to throw the ball too. We also know he's going to throw it to Justin Jefferson first, TJ Hawkinson second. And if you got time to get to Addison, then Addison, because Dalvin Cook is still that dump off guy, or Matson is still that dump off guy.
Okay.
So that's why I would go with I would go with the Chargers and the situation with the receivers.
Okay.
Over the other.
Let's talk about the Chargers. Okay.
Wait a
minute. Let me finish.
Hold on.
Come on, man. Come on. Stop.
Hold on. I got a list. I don't want to take this over too long, so don't make it too long. That's what I'm telling you. Don't drag it out.
Well, you just contradicted yourself. You said, wait a minute. You said Jordan Addison was going to be behind TJ Hawkinson and
Justin Jefferson.
Justin Jefferson was the number 1 wide receiver last year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So as we speak right now, as the team's formulated, and you also mentioned Dalvin Cook. Okay. Mm-hmm. As the team is formulated now, we got Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Austin Eckler. Same type of what you're talking about. Leave out the tight end. So you're talking about this wide receiver is going to be behind 3 guys, just like Minnesota. Come on, man. And you can't win it.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Look at the quarterback and look at the health history. Quarterback and health history. Let's talk about that real quick because I don't want to stay on this too long. You're right. He is behind them, but look at the health history on both teams. Justin Jefferson don't get hurt. 2, T.J. Hockenson don't get hurt. 3, Kirk Cousins is nowhere near Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert is a solid stud, top 4 or 5 quarterback in the league. Keenan Allen gets hurt, not as often, but gets hurt and is on a bad contract right now. And we know Mike Williams only stayed healthy 1 year in his contract year. Austin Eckler, he wants out of there, but he's a large part of the passing game.
But we talked about
so
as we speak right now.
Austin Eckler is a large
right
part
now.
And I just said Austin Eckler is a large part of the passing game. But again, as we speak, Mike Williams is still hurt. He's recovering from his injury. So is Keenan Allen. As we speak, since we said as we speak, is Justin Jefferson hurt? Is T.J. Hockenson hurt? Dalvin Cook dealing with a shoulder injury, but expected to be ready for training camp. Got it. But we in the off season, and you want to talk about as we speak, two guys, the tight end and receiver, and the running back the running back wants out of there.
Okay.
And they're hurt.
No problem.
So I would say, especially with receivers that are hurt and often hurt, my options or my opportunity to be a number 1, definitely a number 2 receiver are better than Addison. But where was that? Number 5? You made me forget where I was. I think it was number 5. It was number 5. Number 5. Number 5. After I said all that, I got Addison at number 5. I got Addison at number 5 because he is in the pecking order. And as I said, you were going to bring, when you brought the KJ Osborne situation, Osborne has the experience and ability, but Osborne is very inconsistent. He could be good, great, comparable to Mike Williams. Could be stellar a game, then just drop off the next game. Addison is, I'm not going to blame his slide, because it really wasn't a slide, but his drop from being possibly the number 1 receiver to where he was in the draft, on his getting adjusted to a new system. Lincoln Riley brought over Caleb Williams, the Heisman Trophy winner, and a new system. And it took a little bit of time for Addison to grow up in that system. Towards the end of the season, college season, Addison and Williams had a good rapport, but at the beginning, it wasn't there. If he gets a good rapport with Kirk Cousins, it could be dangerous. But the problem is, he's got to beat out, as you said, Kelly Osborne to be that third option.
KJ Osborne.
Yeah, KJ Osborne as that third option in the passing cycle, passing tree, whatever you want to call it. But he has the talent. He's one of those guys, especially when we're talking about dynasty leagues, is a guy that I'm a hold on to in my dynasty league, because it's like, all right, he might not do great this year. Like you said, Thielen had 70 for 706 touchdowns. That's a damn good year for an average or just above average receiver, because some of these jokers that are starters, number 1 receivers, didn't get over 1 touchdown. Deontay Washington. So I would say Addison is a good fit at number 5 behind all those others I put. Who do you got at number 5?
Number 5, we just flip-flopped wide receivers. I have Quentin Johnson at number 5.
Okay. Okay. Number 6. Who do you have at number 6?
I have number 6. I have Jackson Smith, the jig wide receiver. They got Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. So he's sitting behind there. Tyler Lockett only missed 1 game last season. And those are 2 dynamic wide receivers that he's got to sit behind. He's got to carve a niche out for himself as the number 3 behind that. So he's got to be able to overcome DK Metcalf and not Tyler Lockett. I know Tyler Lockett's turning 31 this season. It may start to slow down, giving Njigba more chances. But as we speak, he's behind DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett on that offense.
In a run-heavy offense too, but I had him higher because I think he is going to overtake Tyler Lockett as Geno's number 2 target. He's an excellent player. I mean, I got him a lot higher than you, but I can agree with your assessment, except or other than the fact that I think he's going to overtake Tyler Lockett and become the number 2 guy. But my number 6 is your guy.
Okay.
Anthony Richardson. The reason why I have him at number 6 is because he's not going to be starting quarterback anytime soon. But I see him in a goal line and short yardage plays at quarterback. I see him having packages to be used until he takes over the job. And again, that could be week 7, week 8, whatever it is, but it won't be immediately. I'll give you the example of, or the reference, not even an example, but the reference of Jalen Hurts didn't take over the job from Carson Wentz right away, even though Carson was not doing that well, so on and so forth. Same offensive coordinator. Jalen is far more accurate than Richardson in college, because that's all we got to go off of in college. Richardson hasn't thrown the ball in the NFL yet. We don't know. But in college, Jalen was head and shoulders above him. Matter of fact, Jalen got a Heisman. And he also got a national championship. That was the team he was on. I think Richardson, if he has the intellect to be just as smart with the ball and placement as Hurts, he has potential. But that is something we don't see yet, because all we have is his 12 or 13 games he played. And in those 12 or 13 games, he was almost 50% in completion percentage, which is god awful. I've seen him throw the ball in the ground. I've seen him make poor decisions where he decided to run it instead of throw it. I wouldn't even compare him to Cam Newton. Body type, yes. Body type, yes. Cam understood where to put the ball. Did he always put it there, exactly supposed to? No. But he understood where to put the ball. And what I've seen in Richardson is he needs to learn how to place the ball where it's best way to explain it. He throws the ball when somebody's open. He does not throw with anticipation. And when he throws to the person that's open, it's not always the best ball. That's why I don't think he's going to start. Once he learns the system and he gets it down and they start running plays, RPOs, packages for him, he'll do fine. But when they want to go to, and remember, the head coach said, we're going to throw the ball to score and run the ball to win. No, he said we're going to run the ball to win, throw the ball to score. I had it backwards. So if I'm thinking that, I'm like, okay, that's a lot of our boy, Jonathan Taylor, getting the rock and play action passing. That's something Gardner Minshew's good at. He's not the guy that's going to put on the shoulders to win the game, but he can win games. That's why I got at my number 6. Who you got at number 6?
At number 6, I have I told you I had Jackson Enigma. I told you that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you started. So at number 7, we're going to begin with my first IDP. This kid is a monster. See dog, hit dog, do it over. Jack Campbell, oh my gosh. On the Lions, oh my gosh. I think he's going to have double-digit tackles every freaking week. I really do. Especially in a division where it's only one really good team that can throw the ball, and that's Minnesota. His own team, they're good at it, but he doesn't face his own team. Green Bay, we know Jordan Love has got some issues. It's going to have to work out, so they might run the ball more. Jack Campbell is going to be right there to put a hurting on either Aaron Jones or Thunder Thighs. I forgot his damn name that quick. And I really don't see much of a running game in Chicago. But Campbell's going to get to freaking the quarterback, and he's going to make some plays. I have Campbell at number 7 for the mere fact that I believe he's going to get double-digit tackles every week he plays. Who you got at number 7?
I got number 7, who's going to outperform that IDP that you have for most weeks. In fact, the majority of weeks, because he's going to be a quarterback who was drafted number 1. I got Bryce Young, quarterback, Panthers.
Okay. I mean, that's fair. He's a starter. They put some weapons around him. That's fair. I don't have him in my top 10 of fantasy rookies to draft, but that's fair. I like the Miles Sanders, Adam Thielen. They're fixing the offensive line up a little bit. That's fair. I can't argue that. So I then have Dalton Kincaid. Dalton Kincaid, number 8. This kid, listen, he's not going to be your prototypical blocker. He's not. But if you get him the ball, he's going to make some stuff happen. He can run people over. He can catch the ball. He can get open. That's what a quarterback needs. That's what a quarterback needs, especially in the middle of the field. And they can flex him out too. They can daggone sure flex him out. I think Kincaid deserved to be the number 1 tight end taken this past draft. And I believe his ability is going to shine right away. Right away. Comparisons are of Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert. Ertz is a dynamic athlete. If he had not gotten injured last year, he was a Pro Bowl player. That was a security blanket that Colt McCoy, as well as Kyler Murray, and I forgot the other quarterback who they had last year. depended on. When Marquise wasn't catching, or you couldn't get the ball to DeAndre Hopkins, Zach Ertz was there. Dalton Kincaid is going to be that type of player. Who you got at number 8?
I would never have a tight end at number 8 or within my top 10 for the simple fact. History tells us. I'm just going by statistical facts. History tells us rookie tight ends do not do well the first year. Look at the highly touted, and I think he's better equipped with what he does in Kyle Pitts. He didn't have a really good year the first year he was in there. And outside of Mike Ditka, and I'll say that, outside of Mike Ditka, of the tight ends that were highly touted and taken in the first round, Mike Ditka is the only one that stood out of all the tight ends up until this point that did anything in fantasy. So I
agree with you because he was in a Cowboy offense that passed the ball to the tight end. So that's great. But Kyle Pitts, when you use Kyle Pitts, he was in a run-heavy defense. Run-heavy offense. So I see what you're saying, but Kincaid's in more of a passing offense. But I get exactly what you're saying.
Okay. Who I have at number 8? I have Zach Charbonnet. I know he's a backup. I know he's projected to be a backup to Kenneth Walker, but Seattle has a strong running back depth and lost both Rashad Penny and Travis Homer in free agency. And I know he doesn't have standalone value, but he does have value because the Seahawks are a very run-heavy team. And Kenneth Walker did get hurt last year in his rookie year, and there's no guarantee that he's going to be healthy to play the whole year as the number 1 running back when they do like running more than one running back at a time in Seattle. So I took Zach Charbonnet as my number 8 pick. And I know it's a controversial, but I took him as the number 8.
It ain't controversial, but you said it yourself. He's a backup to the premier running back up there. We don't know what the timeshare is or if it's going to be a legit timeshare. Maybe he'll come in and spell him. Maybe he won't. We don't know. But that's your number 8. I think Kincaid's going to have more of an impact. That's why I'm there. But my last 2, I'm just let you know, are IDPs. In my opinion, I'll give you my number 9. My number 9. Oh no, I gave you the first one. So yeah, who's your number 9?
My number 9 probably won't be as good as Richardson or as Young. Doesn't have the same type of weapons beyond Dalton Schultz and Robert Woods. He's also in 49ers like offense. That's more of a run type offense. And I'm going with C.J. Stroud. He's my number 9.
All right. You know he's going to start, but on a team that's in the rebuild mode. So, they're
going to be throwing a lot.
Yeah. If they don't make holes for Damian, yeah, I agree. If they can't do that. But my number 9 happens to be a hitter, a monster. And in the division he's playing in, he's going to be able to stop the run and the pass. Brian Branch is by far the best safety that came out of this draft in this rookie class. I don't know if he's going to get double-digit tackles like I'm saying his counterpart will in Jack Campbell. But I want you to look at from the front line to the back line of Detroit. If Aiden Hudson don't get you or the other DN don't get you, Jack Campbell will get you. If Jack Campbell don't get you, Brian Branch is going to get you. The young man There was a conversation from a couple Alabama players that said you never have to worry about a gap or an assignment when he's in the game. He does his job. If he's got a blitz, he blitzes. If he's got to do XYZ, he does XYZ. These are his teammates. Others have said we avoided him during our games. That's going to translate to the NFL really, really, really well. I think Brian Branch is worth a pick IDP wise. He's going to be on the field. He's not going to be behind anyone. And he's going to have an impact. He's my number 9. Brian Branch. Who you got?
I told you I had number 9 is TJ Stroud.
Oh, that's right. It's back to me, number 10. Now, I got a feeling I know what this man is going to say, meaning Jerry. I got a feeling. But I'm not going to put that on him because I might be wrong. This player, I was not really sold on to begin with. But then the more I thought about it, the more I looked at the division he's playing in, and I said, okay, got it. There's no baggage. And then I remember what Deion Sanders looked like when he came out. Deion, he wasn't as light, but he had the same body frame. Impact player from the get-go. Same style of play as Deion Sanders. Will he be a Hall of Famer like Deion Sanders? I hope. But there's a magazine called Forbes, and Emmanuel Forbes is who I have at number 10 because I think people in the NFC East at least are going to test this young man. When they throw the ball to A.J. Brown, when they throw the ball to C.D. Lamb, when they throw the ball to Hyatt or Slayton or whoever New York's going to throw the ball to, and he's on that person, he's got the quicks and the goods to make some plays. I think he's going to lead the league. Not lead the league. Let me bring that back. He's going to lead the rookies, even though I like Anthony Gonzalez. I really do. I wish we would have got him, but
You're talking about Christian Gonzalez.
Thank you. Christian Gonzalez. I like him, but the more I'm hearing about his problems, the more I think about another person in New England that had similar problems with the last name Hernandez. But I think Emmanuel Forbes is going to be that dude and become a valuable asset. And I don't like putting corners on my fantasy team. You know that, right? I don't like putting corners on my fantasy team. But that is a guy that I think is going to have a major impact.
Okay.
Who's your number 10?
Number 10, nondescript, probably an afterthought in most fantasy teams, is going to be the don't know exactly. I mean, right now, these listed on paper as the number 3 in Miami. But the 2 running backs that are Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson Jr. can't stay healthy. Have a hard time. They perform when they're playing, but their ability is the availability, I should say, is in question. So on my number 10, I have Devin McChain or Achane, a running back on the Miami Dolphins.
Okay.
he could be along the lines of the next Elijah Mitchell. And if these guys, Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson, don't pay attention to what they're doing this season and have issues staying healthy, which in their history is of staying not staying healthy, then this Devin Achane is going to be a sleeper. So as I go further down in the list, there's more and more chances these guys are going to be sleepers. And this is what I'm talking about in Devin Achane. Now, I could have put Zay Flowers at number 10, but I like Devin Achane ahead of him. So that's what I did.
That's your number 10. Again, if we're talking about top 10 fantasy rookies, ladies and gentlemen, which we are, the players we're giving you are our opinion, right? Jerry's explaining his reasoning. I explain my reasoning. Mine is based upon, can they have immediate impact? What role will they play? So on and so forth. And I got an honorable mention. I don't know if you have an honorable mention, but I'm going to have an honorable mention.
I just did. Zay Flowers.
Okay. I didn't know you were saying he was an honorable mention. I thought you said you would have put him in, but something or another. Well, my honorable mention, Sam Laporta. This kid, tight end U University. And you know what? I'm sorry. On my list, there's a lot of Detroit Lions. There's a lot of Detroit Lions. The GM, I don't know if you know this or not, Jay. The GM had a sweatshirt made, all white, and a white line right here, and in black letters, villain across his chest.
Okay.
And black line on the back of the hoodie. It's a hoodie. Detroit is going to be the villains this year. Laporta, Gibbs, Amara St. Brown. You know I love my boy Hendon Hooker. I hope to God he plays. If Hendon Hooker plays this year, my new favorite team will become the Detroit Lions. Not the team I got on, but the Detroit Lions. Until Hendon Hooker is not playing anymore. I'm pulling a Jerry. I'm gonna follow the player, right?
No problem. I ain't got no problem with that.
I know. I'm just saying that.
Okay.
But it's not just the offense. I just gave you two of their best players. They're going to be rookies, but they're going to be mainstays. So, and Laporta, oh my goodness. He fits perfectly in that system to run block for Gibbs as well as Montgomery. He can protect for whoever the quarterback is. And if you need him to go catch a pass, he will catch a pass and run somebody over. Having problems with your gear, brother? You good? You good? They keep falling off, man. You okay?
Keep moving.
Oh, keep moving. I'm just making sure, like, keep falling off. But
keep moving.
With that being said, all right. With that being said, that concludes our rookie fantasy draft list from 1 to 10 with a few honorable mentions. Now, what I'm going to do, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to share with you a team I just picked up. Now, based upon what JT and I have said, only difference is on this team, you can only have offensive players, offensive rookies. I want you guys, and I'm going to share this with you all, to love me some me. Oh, no, wrong screen. Here we go. And tell me what you think of this team. All right, JT. I inherited Justin Herbert, Daniel Jones, Deshaun Watson, Jamal Williams, Miles Sanders, Damian Pierce, Cam Akers, Melvin Gordon, Jerome Ford, my boy Cooper Kupp, Debo, Darius Slayton, DeAndre Carter, Nico Collins, Waddell Robinson, Sky Moore, TJ Hawkinson, Mike Gesicki, Greg Deloach, Daniel Billinger, Matt Gay, the Kansas City defense, and I have picks 1-7, 1-11, 2-7, 3-7, 4, 5, 6, 7. You got it? All right, ladies and gentlemen. I get to pick 7 rookies, and they have to replace 7 positions. I'm going to go. Well, let me hear what Jerry says first. And I want to hear what you guys got to say first. And I'm going to tell you what my plan is. So, Mr. Taylor and those watching, tell me what you think.
Don't like Daniel Jones. I'm not a big Jamal Williams on New Orleans fan. Miles Sanders is iffy at best. Damian Pierce, Cam Akers. I don't like Cam Akers. Melvin Gordon, that's his history. I wouldn't even deal with Melvin Gordon. You got Cooper Kupp, Debo. Debo has a tendency to get hurt. Darius Slayton, I'm not a fan of his this year. Andre Carter, definitely not. Nico Collins is wide receiver 3-4, and Wan'Dale Robinson. I like Wan'Dale Robinson, and Sky Moore is Rasheed Rice. In my opinion, is going to take the place of what Sky Moore is supposed to be. TJ Hawkinson, quite naturally, you can't. You got to keep him. I like Greg Dulcich. I'm not a fan of Bellinger or Gesicki. So, and the Chiefs D, I would stay with the Chiefs D. Matt Gay in the Colts kicker. You can get a better kicker than you have in Matt Gay.
I think I get a better D as well. But out of the 7, I see the 7 you would not keep. I wouldn't keep some of them as well. But with the 7th and 11th overall pick in the first round, who we getting? Remember, it's a rookie draft.
I understand that. Let me see. 7th
Based
pick.
upon our numbers, who you got at number 7?
Number 7, I have who do I have at number 7? Hold on. 7. I had Bryce at number 7.
You had who?
Bryce Young. I would take out Daniel
Bryce
Jones
or Brees or the quarterback.
Bryce Young. Yeah, Bryce Young, the quarterback.
Yeah. Okay.
Bryce.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Bryce Young, the quarterback. And replace. Put in Bryce Young and replace him. Take Daniel Jones out.
Well, I don't plan to keep 3 quarterbacks.
You don't plan to keep 3 quarterbacks?
Mm-mm.
This is dynasty. You always got to have a very young quarterback in your back pocket.
Really? Well, like I said, this is my first time doing dynasty, so I don't know a lot of the. You need to be forward thinking, and you got to believe that the number 1 pick is going to have some bumps this year, but if he's anything, he's going to improve the following few years. And the players that he has outside of Adam Thielen are younger players that may grow with him. So I would have a young quarterback. You got 2 established quarterbacks. What, Deshaun Watson and who else? Justin Herbert.
Okay. Now
Herbert ain't going nowhere.
What's that?
Herbert ain't going nowhere.
Well, you don't know how he's going to pan out. Right now, he's a lot of hype, and
Herbert?
Herbert was okay last season. Okay, he wasn't that dude because we had him. And he was just
Okay.
Herbert was just If you look at the numbers when we had him on our fantasy team to see how he was. He wasn't that dude. Occasionally he was, but overall in the season, he wasn't that dude. So you're banking on Deshaun Watson, and you should have, like I said,
Go ahead.
You should have an upside, very young quarterback, and that's what I'm talking about, Bryce Young.
Okay.
All right.
So I got the 7th and 11th.
7th and 11th. Oof.
So my thought process is Gibbs and Bijan are 1 and 2. They're going to be gone, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
By the time we get to 11, there's either going to be a run at receiver or running back, or what you're saying, quarterback. I'm thinking about getting Jigba.
Okay.
Him or Johnson.
Well, let me ask you something. Those guys, they're more than likely, in my opinion, they're going to be taken. If they're not, then you grab one of them. If not, then Zay Flowers is out there. You like Zay Flowers. I'm not a big fan of Zay Flowers.
I don't like Zay Flowers' situation.
Okay. I thought you loved him where he went.
No, I love Zay Flowers. I just don't like who's throwing him the ball.
Okay. Then you're going with Quentin Johnson or Jordan Addison or Nick Jigba, one or the other.
Yeah.
One of those three players is going to fall to you. In my opinion, too. So you grab one of them.
And having 2 bona fide stud rookies in the first round was very appealing to me when I saw this orphan league. There was a better team I could have got, right? But based upon what you just said about dynasties having longevity and so on and so forth, they had a bunch of great players that are great now. Mm-hmm. And maybe one more year or two, but starting to go downhill. Meaning, one team I really thought about had Mahomes, Eckler, Henry, Debo. I'm naming the highlighted players. Debo. It was one more receiver. It wasn't Jamar. It wasn't Jamar Chase. It was had another Diggs, Stephon. And I was like, kind of like that. But then I was like, it might be some problems. And then I looked at the draft picks because the tight ends, it had Mark Andrews too. That's what it did. It had Mark Andrews, crappy kicker, crappy tight end. Crappy kicker, crappy defense. But it didn't have that many good draft picks.
Okay.
So I was like, nah, I'm not going to get that one. So I settled for this one, knowing I could build from it.
Okay.
So that's what I was thinking. And it's not a bad team. Wan'Dale Robinson was a rookie he was. He came from Buffalo and became like Danny Dimes' go-to guy. Whoever owned this team was riding the Giants hard because he has more Giants than anything. Mm-hmm. But it's something I think I can mess around with at least for 1 or 2 seasons before I decide, you know what, I'm not going to do Dynasty. But that brings me to neighborhood street football, and some announcements. So, ladies and gentlemen, those that are present in Neighborhood Street Football League right now, Jared's the only one that's present. There are some changes coming. as I said, some are going to be non-negotiable. Some I will, I will put up to vote. One of those that I'm leaning to non-negotiable, but I'm going to put to a vote. I'm going to flip a coin to decide if I'm going to do it. It involves trades.
Okay.
My stance is this. I've always said the league needs to have integrity, and voting on the trades helps keep that integrity. I thought about it and I said, you know what? That's insulting my owners to say they don't have integrity. Because they don't have integrity, I should kick them out and I should replace them. I'm not going to tolerate any shenanigans. And I don't think the group I have is going to provide any shenanigans. So it's either going to be trades are immediate on execution or commissioner only. Those are only two options. I'm going to decide if I want to make it not up for vote, but those will be the only two options. There will be no more majority rules votes on trades. I'm not going to make it a popularity contest or a hate contest or whatever. It's just going to be either it happens, or I say it's not, or I say it is. That's announcement number one. Announcement number two. I would like, I'm going to put it back up for vote. People didn't understand it last year, so some people voted against it. I would like that super flex. So it's going to be either super flex or no flex.
What? Super flex or no flex?
Exactly what I said. Super flex or no flex. The reason being, I like the idea of being able to put who you want in that position outside of an IDP. This adds another layer to the drafting strategy of a team. If it's super flex, you are only allowed to carry 2 quarterbacks on your team, period. Now, if somebody gets hurt, put them on IR, got it. But you are not allowed to have more than 2 quarterbacks on your team, period. That's sort of the offshoot of doing a super flex. No flex, well, I'll add a different position. That will be put up to vote. Do we want to add another quarterback position, another wide receiver position, another running back position, another tight end position? Or do you want to go 2 kickers? Or 2 defenses? However, but super flex or no flex. And again,
wait a minute.
Cases of both. Excuse me? Go ahead.
So
I got a couple more now, so go ahead.
Either a super flex or you have no flex, but you're going to add a specific position.
Yes.
And that's going to be up for vote.
Yes.
I don't understand that, but okay. Don't understand it, but okay. I mean,
I thought you had a question, bro.
Huh?
I thought you had a question.
Well, I got a question. I mean,
okay, what's the question?
How does that make any sense if it's either super flex or no flex? How does that make any?
Well, because
sense?
the super flex, it's only one extra position because we already have with the regular flex, all the
Yeah.
other positions are available except for the quarterback.
Right.
So several people, including myself, voted for it, and several people that understood what it was after the fact said, "Oh, okay, I would have done that." So now it's either super flex or no flex, and if it's no flex, which position are we voting on to add as either adding a fourth starting wide receiver, a third starting running back, a second starting quarterback, a second starting tight end, a second starting kicker, a second starting defense. I know everybody don't want to get more IDPs, so I'm not going to mess with the IDPs. But yeah. So
Whatever.
okay. Next, the idea of I don't know. I mean, I know how people feel about it. But in some locations, you can't do the prize league through Yahoo. So the question is, do we want to put the money in League Safe where it's there and people vote on the distribution of it? Or we keep it as is, or shift to a prize league through Yahoo. I, for one, I'm like, okay, well, you know what? I like the prize league at Yahoo. I don't mind League Safe because it's transparent. Everybody sees everything. With Yahoo, we can't draft if everybody hasn't paid. I don't mind keeping the money, but I don't like having to continually, hey, I need you to pay so we can get our, keepers in. I don't like doing that. So I'm gonna put that to a vote. Soon as everybody starts coming around, I know it's May. Nobody's really gonna pay attention to probably June, but it's important because that's how people want their stuff. Or even if something were to happen again like last year, and that gets me to my next rule. It's not a matter of, oh, you should pay him out. League Safe, you can vote on who gets paid what. Yahoo, they'll determine who gets paid what. In the event that next year or this year, there's an issue like that took place last year, talking about Damar Hamlin, there will be an extended playoff. It will be an extended playoff. Totals, not player points. Total points for the playoff week plus total points of that final week will determine who the champion is or who wins that matchup. I pray no one else has that situation happen to them in the NFL. But just like the NFL was prepared for it, we got to be prepared for it. So my answer to it is going to be adding, if we leave the season as is and playoffs like it is, adding the additional point weeks for the next playoff game or the next regular season game, whatever, week 18 in the NFL. That has to be done manually, but that's fine because it's an easy calculation. It's going to take some time because every player has to be, this is blah, 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 based upon the scoring system, but it can be done.
So you're going to put that up for a vote?
No, I'm not. I'm not.
How can you do that?
I'm the commissioner.
Well, I know you're the commissioner, but
I mean,
it affects the whole league. Okay?
I know. That's why I invited the league to come on and to get the information.
Oh, this is not no. Yeah, okay.
This is not no. What are you
No,
talking
because
about?
you invited the whole league, but this is in May, man. Come on.
I'm going to bring it back up, but the points are.
I know the point.
I am planning.
The point.
I am planning for events.
The point is, you felt you got a job last year, and that's why you bringing it up this year. That's no problem.
You talking about that rule? You talking about this rule? You talking about this rule?
I'm talking. Yeah, this rule. Talking about extending.
No, it's not a personal thing. It's not because it happened to a lot of people across fantasy.
Okay.
And different managers handle it differently. So I was in leagues where they said, okay, look, we're just going to cut it off. We're going to pay right now. Or I'm going to cut it off. And the fair thing to do is to call it a tie, which I thought was,
I don't know.
Well, again,
that's like
it don't matter. Listen what I'm saying.
That's like a participation trophy.
Jerry,
come on, man.
Jerry, I got it. And that's what I'm saying. There were different rules across the board. I, for one, was like, okay, cool. The championship is a tie. The second place is a tie. 4 teams split the pot. It's good. We move forward. I didn't have a problem with that. Or you take it to the following week, which several leagues did. So those 3 options were the prevailing options I saw across the board in fantasy, because nobody was really prepared for that situation. The servers or the companies weren't prepared for it. They didn't have any regulations for it. So unless Yahoo comes up with their own regulation for that situation, that's what's going to happen.
Well, let me interject this. If Yahoo sees that your league is over after the 17th week, I would think. Wait a minute. I would think that they would cut it off at the 17th week, no matter.
They do.
Okay.
That's why I said that the 18th week would have to be manually calculated. I said that already.
That's why it should be voted on, not just say, "Oh, we're going to go." If something happens like it happened in last season, we're going to go to the 18th week. That's like a participation trophy.
That is not a participation trophy. That's giving another competition.
Yeah, but if the league is set at the 17th week, the 17th week should be it. Period.
Again, that is your opinion. I, along with a couple other league managers, believe the fair thing to do is only 2 fair things to do in that situation. Well, it's 3. It's 3, actually. It's either end it and pay all 4 participants, first, second, and third, and fourth, because you can't calculate the other points. That's one option. 2 is to continue with a calculated score that you have to do manually in order to decide who actually wins, so that then you can pay 1, 2, and 3. And 3 is end it where it was and just take the scores as is, but don't pay everybody out the full amount, because that would be blasphemy. That to me,
I'm going to give you a scenario.
I'm not going to allow, like, for instance, just like in my game, I had 3 people. No, I had 2 people going. He had 2 people going. I had 2 offensive players going. He had 1 offensive player and a defensive player. That defensive player was not going to make it. No, I had the defensive player and the offensive player. He had the 2 offensive players. But one was his kicker and one was his backup, Dalvin Cook, who wasn't making much, but he was making enough, right? But the points definitely were not going to equal up. Whereas my IDP was making more points than his kicker, and my I think it was my tight end made more points than Dalvin Cook.
Okay.
So it doesn't, I don't think that's a fair, but that's equitable to do it that way. It's fair and equitable to either push through week 18, do it manually, or we can extend the whole season to week 18. I mean, the postseason week 18, and make 2-week playoff games as opposed to 1-week playoff game. And if I do a 2-week playoff, I'm going to drop it from 6 teams to 4 teams. That's an option. I just thought about that one as we were talking.
Well,
Making
let me
4 teams and just the 4 division winners.
Then I'm gonna throw the scenario. I'm gonna throw this scenario at you. Okay. This is what the same scenario happened last year that happens this year. For whatever reason, you can't settle it on the 17th week, and you decided to go to 18th week. Okay, no problem. You got the 18th week. Now this is going to be settled. What happens if the same scenario that happened in the 17th week happens in the 18th week?
As I said, you go by the points and tally the points.
Well, then why move it to the 18th week when you were in the 17th week?
Because no. I get what you're saying, but you're also saying that a catastrophic incident is going to happen the following week.
Well,
and
look,
if that happens, you total up all points, because it happens either way. You total all points and decide who has the higher points. It's the same outcome.
That's what happened in the 17th week, regardless.
No.
So if it happens in the 17th, wait a minute. What I'm saying is this.
I get what you're saying.
If it happens in the 17th week, happens in the 18th week, the same type of scenario.
No, it's not. It's not, because there's no 19th week.
Sure it is.
Continue games.
It's the 19th week of the playoffs. So what's
no,
the thing?
because every team does not play in the playoffs. Well, if you have players on your team that didn't make the playoffs, you don't get those points. That would not be fair.
But if you have players, but now you open up another can of worms. But if you have players that are going to be in the playoffs, okay, I got players going to be in playoffs. How come you can't play them in the 18th week, regardless?
You can play in the 18th week. You can play them in the 18th week. Nobody said you couldn't. What I said was
in the 19th week. I'm talking.
I should say they are not. Here's what you're saying. I want you to listen to what you're saying.
Yeah.
I got a quarterback, a running back, and a wide receiver playing in the playoffs versus a team that doesn't have any players playing in the playoffs.
Oh well.
No. Because it's not an even playing field. It's not an even playing field. The even playing field is
that's part of fantasy.
Even playing field.
That's part of fantasy.
Or a team having the opportunity to play all their players during the regular season, which is our playoff. Now, you're going to pick up players, drop players. That's on you, because now you're like, oh man, I got to prepare just in case.
Well, exactly. If you're in the playoffs, you're able to pick up players, and you can always pick up players that are in the playoffs.
That's the regular season. That's the NFL regular season. That's not the actual playoffs in the NFL.
You open up a can of worms when you go from the 17th. Wait a minute. You open up the 17th week and move on to the 18th week, and for whatever reason, catastrophic things happen, and now the players that you wanted to play in the 18th week don't play. You're going to get somebody say, "Well, why can't I pick? I'm in the playoffs. Why can't I pick somebody in the 19th week that's going to be in the playoffs?"
There is no 19th.
Well, there is no
19th season, a 19th regular season game in the NFL.
There's no 18th regular season games either.
Yes, it is, guy.
Only
The
if you
NFL has
only
18 weeks
only
with
yeah, but
buys
no,
in
but
them.
only if you put that 18th week in the manual. You have
Guy,
to manually do it.
guy, listen to what I'm saying.
Look, I understand what you're
I
saying.
know I have to calculate. I already said I would have to calculate the 18th week points manually.
You're going to get somebody to complain about that. I'm telling you.
I don't care. I don't care. It's a contingency plan if something like this happens again.
Okay.
It's not as if, well, I pray and I hope it doesn't happen again. But if it does, there is a plan in place for that. That's the whole point of it. It's a just in case this is what's going to happen. If nothing happens, everything rides like normal.
But you're not going to put.
There is no 19th NFL regular season week, so you can't continue.
But you're not going to put
18th.
You're not going to put that up as a vote for the league. Whether it ends at 17, and if anything crazy happens, we're going to go to an 18th week, and I'm going to put players in manually. That's what you're saying.
I'm going to calculate your players or your team's score manually.
You open up a can of worms. Okay. You open up a can of worms.
Bro, it's a contingency. It's not as if this is we're going to 18 week anyway. This is a contingency.
Listen to what I'm saying.
I understand what you're saying.
You're
People
going
have problems.
You're going to create problems when and if that ever happens. Guys are going to complain. They're not going to complain in week 1. They're going to complain in week 17.
Okay.
And act like they didn't know about it until week 17.
That you said something really pertinent there. Act.
That's a fact.
And I don't care if they act because the rule is going to be stated. The rules are going to. I always put rule changes and anything like that on the league page. I put them in a note.
I understand, Victor.
And if somebody has a problem, I just refer them to that. If they have a problem with that, I'm going to say, this has been up here forever. You chose not to look at it. That's not my fault.
I understand what you're saying, but human nature, and I've seen it in the past.
Ignorance is what that is. If people want to be ignorant, they can be ignorant.
Let me put it this way. Prior leagues, I've seen that happen over time and time again. And you know what prior leagues I'm talking about. Prior leagues, I've seen that happen late in the season and said, I never saw that rule. I never seen that.
That's their problem. And you know what that league manager says? What? That's your problem, Chief. That's exactly what he says.
I understand what you're saying.
And he keeps it moving. And that's exactly the right way to do it. Exactly the right way to do it. Why entertain somebody's crying when they fail to do what they're supposed to do? What's something we tell everybody before their drafts? What do we tell people to do before the draft?
Pay attention to the settings. Pay attention to the rules.
Exactly. So if I'm using you as an example, if you choose not to do so and you want to complain at the last second, that is your problem. But
you're exactly right.
But
you're exactly right.
It is available for you to consume and digest way before the issue comes up. So I think that was the only. Now I had one more I can't remember right now. But those are the changes that I'm looking at. And some that are going to happen.
I'm not feeling super flex and no flex.
Yeah.
Okay.
Super flex and no flex.
Okay.
And that's the option because the no flex gives you, the owners in the league, an opportunity to say, okay, well, since we're not going to have a flex, I want this extra position. And the highest vote will win. If it's a quarterback, then guess what? We're going to get an extra quarterback spot as a starter. You'll be limited to 3 quarterbacks on your team.
That's in essence a super flex. I understand what you're saying, But that's in essence a super flex, even though you can't in a super flex, even though if it's specific for a quarterback, quite naturally you can't put anybody else in there if you wanted to. But if you put a quarterback, that's in essence a super flex league with two quarterbacks.
Yeah. In essence. Look, but you don't have to pick quarterback. Somebody can say we need to have 3 starting running backs instead of 2.
I understand that, but you're making it position specific.
That's why I said super flex or no flex.
Well,
now you're picking up what I'm dropping, because now instead of having the opportunity to put whatever player you want in that flex spot, quarterback, running back, receiver, tight end, whatever, now you're stuck with either a quarterback, either a running back, either a receiver, either a tight end, either a kicker, either a defense.
Well, if you have a super flex, if you got to be pretty naive not to put a quarterback in that second position, because quarterbacks in most leagues gather the most points. So you want to be able to get the most points from your team each week, which that in essence will put, even though it's a super flex, you could put any position in there, it's going to make it a quarterback. But the fact is, you only have 2 quarterbacks on each team.
Yep. Period.
That means
at some point, you're twice in that season, you're not going to have 2 quarterbacks starting.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, well, yes. I mean, that's...
Well, as I said, it changes the dynamic of the draft.
What, you got a 12-team league. You got 2 quarterbacks.
24 quarterbacks have got to be selected.
Yep.
Well, it don't have to be. It don't have to be 24 quarterbacks selected. But if you want to use that super flex the way that we're talking, sure.
So that means there's only 8 quarterbacks that are out there that 12 teams or 14 teams, if it's a 12-team league, don't have to compete for. And they're going to have to compete for each team 2 times a week. 2 times during the season. Because one of those quarterbacks it ain't going to be available because of a bye week.
Or if there's an injury, that's one less quarterback on that waiver wire. Because you can move your quarterback to the IR and get that. Ooh. I'm not going to call him a bum, because if you're a quarterback in the NFL, you're not a bum. Or get that quarterback that's just sitting there. Let's give an example. Who's a quarterback that just might be sitting there? Mac Jones should be drafted. Let me take that back.
Mac Jones, no.
Well, here's something that got me thinking about it. If you get Gardner Minshew and Richardson, because Richardson's going to be used.
You can't use both of them.
Yes, you can. You can get both of them. You can start both of them, but you can't get no more quarterbacks.
I understand that. That's why I say you can't do that, because the fact is one of those quarterbacks are not going to give you some points. So if you decide to put both those quarterbacks on your team, guess what? Count that week as an L, because your opponent more than likely is going to have a capable second quarterback on that team.
Maybe. It was the keeper rules. It was the keeper rules. Lastly, I love the keeper rules the way they are.
Calvin, really?
Excuse me?
Calvin, really?
I didn't hear you.
Calvin, really? Deshaun Watson.
I really hope you enjoy that, you loser. That's why I'm going to tell you nothing ever again. Ever. Because you're a thief. But it's okay.
I don't think you never had them. You never had them.
But you know what? You know what I say about that, Jerry?
What?
That's just like telling your best friend you want to go get this girl, but you ain't got her. But Jerry goes and gets her.
Hey,
that's exactly what that's like.
As she's walking in, let me tell you a quick story on how
please don't tell me you do that to your friend. Please don't tell me you did that.
Let me tell
my
you
God.
a quick story.
Oh my God.
Let me tell you a quick
RP
story.
and snake.
Let me tell you a quick story.
Oh my God.
So there's a bar. There was a club, a bar that a lot of people populated. Okay, a lot of people populated, and myself and my wife populated at that time. We weren't husband and wife then, quite naturally. And I happened to see a young lady coming. There was a bunch of guys, me and a bunch of friends, standing along the wall, right on the other side of the bar, and people walk back and forth. And I happened to see a young lady that I caught my eye, and one of my friends stepped to him. Step
dog, man.
Step to her, and I stepped closer to her so I could talk to her.
You was a dirty dog.
And that's a fact. That is a fact. He stepped to her, and I stepped closer to her so I could talk to her. That's a fact. That's a fact.
Ladies and gentlemen, what you just heard from Jerry Taylor is an omission that he don't care about his friends, his people,
she can tell you,
or nothing.
She can tell you that. And
that's right.
I remember the friend, his name, right off the top of my head.
He probably ain't your friend no more.
He's an acquaintance. He's an acquaintance. He's someone I know. But let me put it this way: I haven't seen him in years, but I do know he started stepping to her, and his eye and my eye caught her at the same time, and I was just a little shorter and a little quicker. Let me put it that way. Hey.
I cannot. You see what you just said. I can't trust you with nothing. Nothing. Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, you just heard what Jerry Taylor just said. His friend. You didn't even let her shoot him down before you took the opportunity. That's what a friend would have done. But I see. I ain't never taking you nowhere. No effing where with me.
Hey.
That's why I can give you no.
What did I say to you before? All fair in love and fantasy. All I can tell you.
Oh my God! You know, I've learned my lesson. I need you to stay after the show for a hot second once the show's over.
Yeah.
But you are a dog. I forgot what I was going to talk about before. The keeper rules.
Back in the day, I was.
Okay, so here's the deal. Keeper rules are going to remain the same, except I am thinking, I'm putting this up for a vote. I am thinking maybe not this year, but next year.
Okay.
But we vote the rule this year for next year.
Okay.
You get to keep a keeper or your first round or second round pick an additional year if you give up half of your waiver wire money for the upcoming season.
Say that again.
You will
This is a new rate. This is a. Say that again.
You will get to keep either your previous keeper or your first or second, whichever one, or both. But you have to give up half of your waiver wire funds for the season.
Well, how do you gonna do that? How are you gonna take away? How are you gonna take away?
I can easily adjust people's waiver wire amounts.
Okay.
I can give you zero. I can give you more money. I can do whatever.
Okay, I didn't know that. Okay.
But the caveat to that is if you keep 1 and 2, you get no waiver wire money. It's gone. It's gone. So if you keep your first and second pick, right, you have no waiver wire money for the season. If you keep your keepers from the previous year, half your money. If you keep one of your first or second round pick as a keeper, you lose half your money. That will go in effect next year. If it's voted on and it passes.
Okay.
So, but all other rules for our keepers will remain the same, though. Make sure you're taking notes on this, please. Because I know when I bring it up in the league, you're like, oh, Victor said, da, 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 da. Make sure you got all the notes.
Oh, I don't have any notes. So, whatever.
Okay.
Let me see 22 and TC. Let me see.
So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, Jerry, what are you doing on 4NR tomorrow?
All right. For no reason. Please give me my name. For no reason. I don't want to. 4NR.
Give us freedom.
For no reason.
For no reason, fantasy
no
football.
Reason.
So 4NRF. F.
For no reason. Give me my respect. For no reason.
I'm giving you the full name, but you're not even giving yourself the full name. For no reason,
fantasy football.
There you go.
10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on a Sunday morning. We'll be talking about the rest of the teams we left off of last week. We left off at the New England Patriots. The draft grade. We're going to go to the New Orleans Saints, which is the next team, and work our way down. And hopefully we get to the Washington Commanders.
I have changed my draft grade on them. So whatever you're thinking.
Okay. Hey, fine. I just showed you what we're going to do. So whatever. It is what it is.
Just to give you guys a heads up, next Saturday there will be no Fantasy Sports and Politics show. And I will not be on For No Reason Fantasy Football. Got to work. Staff duty.
Okay. All right.
But I want to wish everybody a happy Mother's Day. That is a mother, grandmother, mother of mothers.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say that one. But just wish you all a happy Mother's Day, and pray that the remainder of this year and your day goes beautifully and smoothly. And even if you don't have kids, but you help raise some kids to be successful, not even successful, just you raise them with love. Happy Mother's Day. And if you're a friend that snaked your friend for the mother of your children, you are a sorry person. That was low, man. I can't get over that. That is low, bro. That is so low. Look at you, and you have no care in the world about it. Not one.
Hey, it's back in it was Doggy Dog was back in 1980s, early 80s, man. Doggy Dog, brother. Doggy Dog. Got to deal with it.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Hey. No. Not even close. Not even close.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. We want to thank you for watching, tuning in, and being a part of the show. Mm-hmm. Hopefully that other big news I have, I'll find out more later on. It could be big. With that being said, you've been listening to
Fantasy Sports and Politics.
Get ready to rumble! You want to talk smack? You in the right place. So take a step back before I get all up in your
remember, because I don't remember. I remember every bit of this.
You're the dudes holding on the phone line. Your voice will be heard, sir.
Next caller, please.
Eric's gonna get him.
Fantasy Sports and Politics. Fantasy Sports and Politics. Fantasy Sports and Politics. Fantasy Sports and Politics.
Listeners are asking questions about this week's games,